ये मैनिफेस्टो कांग्रेस पार्टी ने नहीं बनाया, ये मैनिफेस्टो हिंदुस्तान की जनता ने बनाया है।
Back to India now. Another feature of every election is promises. Every party makes dozens of promises. X number of jobs, Y number of projects, billions in investments. We hear all kinds of tall promises. Parties also release a book of these promises. It's called a manifesto. Think of it as a to-do list for the government. Today, the main opposition, the Congress party, has released its manifesto. And they're calling it Nyay Patra, meaning document for justice. The whole thing is almost 50 pages long. It has 25 promises under 5 pillars of justice. That's what the Congress is calling them. But we're looking at the top 10 promises. Number 1, a nationwide caste census. Basically, count the population based on caste. And how would that help? A lot of social schemes and benefits are linked to caste, but India's caste data is pretty old, almost 90 years old. So the Congress says we will conduct a new census and then social benefits will be distributed based on the new numbers. Promise number 2, raising the quota limits. Right now, reservation based on caste cannot exceed 50%. Suppose a government course has 100 seats, then caste-based quota cannot be more than 50. That's the rule. But the Congress is promising to raise that. How? Using a constitutional amendment. Promise number 3, the right to apprenticeship, the Right to Apprenticeship Act. Suppose you're under 25 years of age, you also hold a diploma or a graduate degree, then you will be legally entitled to a 1-year apprenticeship. Both private and public firms will be roped in. The salary will be 1 lakh rupees per year, which is around $1,200. Promise number 4, legally guaranteeing the minimum support price, the MSP. It's not a new concept, it's been around for decades. Every year, the government announces a floor price for 23 crops. This is the price at which the state buys from farmers. But in effect, they buy only 2 crops, wheat and rice. So some farmers say, legalize the MSP, make this annual practice a legal guarantee. Not just for wheat and rice, but for all 23 crops. Now we come to promise number 5, raising the national minimum wage. Currently, it's around 176 rupees. The Congress is promising to raise it to 400 rupees a day. Promise number 6, universal health care. We're talking about examination, diagnostics, treatment and surgery, all of this free at public hospitals. Promise number 7, filling up government job vacancies. Some 3 million sanctioned positions are lying vacant. The Congress says we will fill them up. Promise number 8, and now we come to the strategic stuff. Restoring statehood for Jammu and Kashmir. As you know, J&K used to be a state of the Indian Union, but it was turned into a union territory in 2019. The Congress says it will immediately restore statehood. The ruling BJP has also promised it, but they've not given a timeline. Promise number 9, cancelling the Agnipath scheme. It was introduced by the current government in 2022. It's basically a recruitment program for the military. Here's how it works. Some 50,000 soldiers will be recruited every year. Only 25% of them will be commissioned. The rest will leave after 4 years of service. Now, the idea was to create a leaner fighting machine to reduce the pension bill. But many young Indians protested. So the Congress says this scheme will be cancelled if they come to power. And finally, promise number 10, foreign policy. A couple of things stand out here. First is on China. Listen to what it says. We will work to restore the status quo ante on our borders with China and to ensure that areas where both armies patrolled in the past are again accessible by soldiers. They don't say how. So the Congress is saying India has ceded land to China and it is promising to reverse that. Another key point is about the neighborhood. The Congress says it will re-establish the primacy of India's relations with Nepal and Bhutan. It is also promising to repair relations with the Maldives. These are the top 10 Congress promises. There are some other interesting ones too, like legalizing same-sex unions and removing the state government in Manipur. So all in all, pretty comprehensive. Of course, manifestos are not legally binding. They simply indicate policy direction. More importantly, you have to win the election to do any of it. The BJP has criticized these promises. They say it's far removed from reality. We'll see the BJP's manifesto in the coming days most likely, and that will make for an interesting comparison.